So, Mafia 3 is a guilty pleasure of mine. I hadn't really been into the Mafia series before then, and the only way that I would really hear about it would be when my friends memed Mafia 2 to hell and back.
What now? Well, this one don't like manual labor. What the f?
Now, I know the term Mafia doesn't exactly mean Italian gangsters that Martin Scorsese would have a field day with in his films, but I think we've really grown accustomed to that typical and generic Italian feel that the term Mafia usually associates with. You think of things like Godfather, Goodfellas, etc. And the first two Mafia games really captured that feeling. The thing is, I don't really get that feeling with Mafia 3. Sit back, cause I feel like this is gonna be a pretty hot take. So Mafia 3's protagonist is Lincoln Clay. He's a Vietnam War veteran that just came back from being deployed. He gets a huge party thrown for his return before poop really starts to hit the fan for him. Like seriously, the dude is only back for like one night and Sammy's already like, son, we've got problems. Lincoln tries to resume with his regular life, heading to homeless shelters to feed people and stuff before a rival family known as the Haitians cause some chaos there, and finally confronts Sammy, who tells him that it's time to finally take out the Haitian leader. So he does, sort of. He kills a person that was widely believed to be the Haitian boss, but it turns out the actual Haitian boss was just hiding in the closet, like literally. After taking care of all of that, Sammy informs him that they owe some money to Sal Marcano, who's like the top guy whose family runs pretty much all of New Bordeaux. Sal also wants to take Lincoln under his wing and for him to forget about Ellis and Sammy. Lincoln's like, nah, I'm good, but agrees to take care of the debt that's owed by taking part of a heist. We all know that this is only the first 30 minutes of the game, so something is bound to go wrong, right? Well, they actually pull the heist off successfully, and they all go back home to celebrate and live happily ever after. Yeah, no, just kidding. Sal's son Georgie shoots Lincoln in the face, and his family proceeds to take out all of Lincoln's family and friends because he said no to abandoning Ellis and Sammy. They then proceeded to burn the house down, and if it weren't for Father James, Lincoln would have gone down with his family. Lincoln spends some time recovering and thinking about the events that transpired, and the only thing that's running through the mind of this Vietnam vet is the very thing that Naughty Dog has been trying to steer us away from for the entire runtime of The Last of Us Part 2, revenge. Lincoln then spends the rest of the game building things up for his crew, recruiting people like his friend John Donovan, who was someone who served alongside Lincoln in Vietnam. He also recruits Thomas Burke, the father of one of Lincoln's friends that was killed by the Marcano family, the actual Haitian boss, Cassandra, and even the previous Mafia protagonist, Vito Scaletta. Together, they track down bosses, take over businesses, and eventually all of New Bordeaux. Though, if you don't satisfy your bosses well enough, they might turn on you and you'll have to take them out yourself. But let's not worry about that for now. After putting a dent in Sal's businesses and taking out a lot of his bosses, Lincoln finally confronts Georgie by introducing him to his handy-dandy combat knife up the old rib cage. You have an interesting talk with Sal now that he knows that there's nowhere to run and his son is gone. And you have the choice to either end him with your own hands or to sit while Sal says some awfully mean things to you before taking his own life. You're now left with the choices of running the city with your crime bosses, killing all of your crime bosses and blowing up, or just straight up leaving the city and putting one of your crime bosses in charge while you're gone. Mafia 3's story is another tale of revenge that I really enjoy for some reason. Lincoln Clay is a freaking tank, and it's always fun running around with his combat experience to bring the hurt to other enemies. The story is pretty solid. This man comes back home from the war and loses his family almost immediately, and he sets out on a very aggressive revenge journey that I'm all for. The gameplay for the most part is fine too. My biggest gripe with it, of course, is the repetitive missions that you have to do a lot of the time. It's been a while since I played, but God, I just remember the same process of always going into a club, safe house, you name it, and repeating the same actions of just shooting everybody inside before taking out the boss that runs the place. It just got really tiring after a while, and it just turned more into a chore so that I could get to the end of the story. I didn't play it on release, but I know that the game was full of bugs when it was. Thankfully, I didn't run into any major bug issues, and the game ran amazing for me on my PC. Now, I'm guessing this is just me, but Mafia 3 doesn't really feel like it has anything to do with the Mafia. Like I said previously, when I think of the term Mafia, I think of things that director Martin Scorsese would love to get his hands on. I could totally see him making movies based off the first two Mafia games. This one just seems like it would be picked up by that other madman, Quentin Tarantino, which I mean, that would be pretty dope to see too. I know all the other Mafia games have some form of betrayal, moments of getting revenge, things like that, but I feel like this game focusing on the revenge aspect made it feel like it wasn't quite part of the Mafia franchise. I still loved every moment of the story and really enjoyed the character that is Lincoln Clay. I mean, he's a man that is set out on a mission that won't be detoured at any cost. Kind of reminds me of another revenge-driven character there, but that's besides the point. I think what I would have liked to have seen is this game be its own franchise entirely that is still somehow connected to the universe of Mafia. Like, this game could have been called, I don't know, Claymore or something, because Lincoln Clay, Claymore, I'm sorry. But it could have been called something else and still linked to the Mafia verse with sudden appearances or references from previous Mafia games. It could have been a separate series that built up the character Lincoln Clay because seriously, I really dig this character and the performance performance that actor Alex Hernandez gives. The emotion behind this character is remarkable, and it just sucks that it's tied to what's considered the worst game in the Mafia franchise. It still feels kinda early for any sort of remake or remaster for this game to take place, but I would definitely love to see Lincoln be given another chance at being in the spotlight for a franchise. He could definitely have and star in his own game, while Mafia 3 can be remade and could be the true sequel to the cliffhanger that we got in Mafia 2. Have it be about Joe, or have us continue as Vito to find out the truth of what really happened to his best friend. I don't know, I feel like there's definitely something there, and I would love to see Hangar 13 capitalize on that. Lincoln's story feels like it's just begun, and I think we need to see more of him. But yeah, that's my take on Mafia 3. I know it's weird saying it doesn't feel like a Mafia game when it has crime bosses, families, and even Leo Galante, who's a typical mafioso crime boss. I just feel like maybe it could have been its own series or franchise away from the typical Mafia game. But what do you guys think? Did I make some good points? Do I sound like a crazy, filthy casual who needs to reevaluate what makes a Mafia game? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This has been your friendly casual gamer, hoping that you also stay as casual as I am, and I'll see you next time.